Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, the first Filipino national who tested positive for the coronavirus disease 2019 had recovered and is now scheduled to be discharged, the Philippine Embassy in Tokyo reported Wednesday. ASEAN and the United States reiterated commitment to strengthen their strategic partnership for mutual benefit at the 11th meeting of the ASEAN-U.S. Joint Cooperation Committee held at the ASEAN Secretariat. And Singapore Wildlife Reserve showcases baby animals. The first Filipino national who tested positive for the coronavirus disease 2019 had recovered and is now scheduled to be discharged, the Philippine Embassy in Tokyo reported Wednesday. In a statement, it said the Philippine Embassy in Tokyo is pleased to announce that the first Filipino crew member who tested positive for the COVID-19 and was admitted to the hospital on February 5 has been successfully treated. The embassy is now arranging accommodation for the Filipino crew member. As this developed, Embassy Deputy Chief of Mission Robespierre Bolivar reported a new group of 6 Filipinos who tested positive for the virus just as the 14-day quarantine period for the passengers and crew of the MV Diamond Princess ends on Wednesday. He told the Philippine News Agency that there are 40 in total because one is about to be discharged, adding that the 40 are being treated in medical facilities in and around the Tokyo metropolitan area. For those on board the virus-hit cruise ship, the diplomat said the disembarkation has started on Wednesday morning, with passengers alighting first, followed by the crew. The embassy is coordinating with the Japanese government and the management of Princess Cruises in finalizing the details, logistics, and schedule of the repatriation. The embassy statement said or read all Filipino crew and passengers who are cleared for disembarkation from the vessel will be assisted by the embassy and Princess Cruises and will be repatriated back to the Philippines at the soonest possible time. Filipinos who are in the hospital for treatment, on the other hand, will be repatriated as soon as the Japanese hospitals grant them medical clearance. The embassy is in touch with those who have been admitted to hospitals in order to ensure their well-being and to provide them any assistance they need. All Filipino passengers and crew of the MV Diamond Princess who will request repatriation will be accommodated by the government in accordance with the guidelines set by the Department of Health, a health official said Wednesday. In a press briefing at the DOH main office, Health Assistant Secretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases is now finalizing all the processes needed for the repatriation of the Filipinos in the cruise ship. Vergeire said they'll start with the repatriation as soon as they can complete process for clearance, coordination with the government of Japan and foreign ministries, and with the Carnival Cruises. Adding there's no delay in the response, there's just a lot to process because of the number of repatriates and that they're simply processing everything properly. While basic repatriation protocols or guidelines have already been set by the IAFT-EID earlier during the repatriation of OFWs from Wuhan amid the coronavirus disease 2019, Vergeire explained there would be some adjustments in the entire process since the situation in the cruise ship is different as well as the location. She said there would be DOH teams like before and the government would again be responsible for the medical services for the repatriates.
So yung usual procedures po natin na ina-assure natin na ang lahat ng ipapasok natin o iuwi natin ng mga kababayan natin ay wala nung sakit na tinatawag natin na COVID-19. There would be teams, ang ating DOH, Department of Health, ang gobyerno, ang magsasagot ng medical services nitong mga repatriates natin. Kapag sila ay chinek, may simptomas sila o di kaya pag tinest sila may maybe positive, so may iwan sila doon. Isa lang. And then we do our quarantine here, complete 14 days, walang by batches. Now, if they're going to ride chartered planes, makakasama ba sila? Kung sakasakali po, na ang magiging final arrangement natin is a chartered plane. Magkakasama po sila. Once na may lumalabas po na positibo dito sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino, dito sa MV Diamond Princess, itinatawag ho agad sa Department of Foreign Affairs natin. At in turn naman po, tayo ay nakikipag-coordinate sa relevant agencies sa Japan, even with the hospitals where they are confined, para kamustahin ang estado ng ating mga kababayan na nagpo-positibo dito sa sakit na ito.
She added that their employers will fund the cost of their plane tickets because of their current contracts. They're still finalizing on the numbers of Filipinos who will be going home since it's voluntary. They're waiting for those who will signify commitment to go home. Thus, there is no definite number as of yet. Stressing that the Filipinos on board the ship got infected at the different time frames, the Japanese government suggested that their repatriations be done in batches. She also reported that there are now 41 positive cases of the COVID-19 among the Filipino crew on the cruise ship.
Meeting ang IATF for Tuesday next week. It's not going to be really dependent on the meeting of the IATF kasi may mga proseso na tayong naihanda na pag-utusan na rin ng ating mga principals yung mga dapat gawin para tayo ay makapagproseso na ng mga clearances natin. Everything is being processed already because we would want, of course, to repatriate our kababayans as soon as possible. So inaayos na. So hindi po ito depende dun sa magiging meeting ng ating interagency. Lahat po ay nagiging inaayos na sa ngayon. We are coordinating, we are trying to process, and hopefully soon, maumpisahan na ho natin ang repatriation. Sinasabi nga lang natin, kailangan lang natin ma-coordinate ng maayos, ma-finalize yung arrangements with the facility. Unang-una, hindi naman ho biro yung numero, no? They are about 500 plus. Pagkatapos, manggagaling pa ho sa ibang bansa para kunin natin ng ganun kadami, no? So marami ho tayong kailangang asikasuhin. So ever since last week, our government has already been coordinating with the government of Japan.
Aside from overseas Filipino workers, students who are leaving to study abroad are also exempted from the Philippines travel ban to Hong Kong and Macau, the Department of Foreign Affairs said on Wednesday. The recent resolution also authorized Filipinos and their foreign spouses or children, as well as holders of diplomatic visas, entry into the Philippines subject to the required 14-day quarantine. The partial lifting of the travel ban in Hong Kong and Macau is one of the decisions adopted at the 6th Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases on Tuesday, following a thorough risk assessment of the current situation. OFWs returning to Hong Kong and Macau will be required to execute a declaration which states that they are aware of the risk involved as the coronavirus disease 2019 outbreak continues to spread. Newly hired Filipino employees are also exempted from the ban as long as they sign a form from the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration. On Tuesday, the Philippine Consulate General in Hong Kong confirmed that a Filipino domestic worker in the territory was tested positive for COVID-19. Because of this, the consulate said they advised all Filipinos in Hong Kong to watch their health and take precautions to avoid contracting the COVID-19. 137 Thai nationals evacuated from China's city of Wuhan City, epicenter of the global COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak, were allowed to return to their homes after 2 weeks of quarantine. The 137 were certified by the Public Health Ministry to be free from the virus. One patient is still being monitored at a Chonburi hospital. Some of the 137 were picked up by relatives, while another group was sent to bus terminals or airports by Royal Thai Navy. Deputy Minister of Public Health Satit Pitutecha and Chonburi Governor Pakarathon Tianchai gave souvenirs to the 137 before their departure. The World Health Organization has said that it has dispatched more than 12,000 kilograms of personal protective equipment to priority countries in Western Pacific, Southeast Asia, and the African region. Let's listen in.
We have shipped supplies of personal protective equipment to 21 countries and will ship to another 106 countries in the coming weeks. By the end of this week, 40 countries in Africa and 29 in the Americas are due to have the ability to detect COVID-19.
But we like to see progressive implementation of public health measures. So the first objective in Wuhan was to contain the virus at the epicenter, and you've heard the Director General speak, fight the virus at the epicenter. Suppressing that virus now allows space to really do much more active surveillance. While the authorities there are doing that active surveillance, they don't want the virus to return to other places. Beijing is a central point in the country where many, many workers return to. So what China are trying to do is, while they're getting success in putting out one fire, they don't want the fire to start somewhere else. So they're taking very directed measures to ensure that people returning to the city are observed and monitored. We can save many, many lives in the coming months, with or without a vaccine. We all want to invest in the vaccine as a long-term solution, but there are people sick now, and there are health systems that are vulnerable now. So we need to balance our investments and invest in the weaker health systems and our own systems. We can save a lot of lives through supportive therapy, by testing the drugs we're currently testing, and by getting everything in our systems working. And then we do the other things, and we develop the vaccine. And we do have to make decisions on vaccine investment now.
In order to avert any serious problem in the rest of the world and use the window of opportunity to the maximum, it's the simple public health solutions that we should do that should really be our focus, while of course preparing for the vaccine. So that balancing act is very, very important. We do what should be done today, and then we invest also in the future to prepare for the future.
Net25 shows live and on demand, anytime, anywhere, on any mobile device on OSN Play.
Congratulations to EBC Films Creative Director Carlo Ortega Cuevas for receiving the Film Ambassador Award for the film Guerrero from the Film Development Council of the Philippines. To God be the glory.
Welcome back. The Philippine government's temporary travel ban imposed on mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan due to the coronavirus disease outbreak has seen a reduction in the number of international and domestic tourists traveling to the country, the Manila International Airport Authority said on Wednesday. In a press briefing in Malacanang, MIAA General Manager Ed Monreal said the number of international passengers from January 25 to February 17 this year decreased by 16.74%, or 272,006 lower compared to 1,624,698 travelers recorded in the same period of last year. The number of domestic passengers also dropped by 3%, or around 50,000 individuals in the same period. Monreal was optimistic that the partial lifting of the temporary travel ban on Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan would see an increase of international passengers visiting the country. He, however, admitted that airlines are still having trouble mounting flights because their frontline crew members have to undergo 14-day quarantine procedures prescribed by the Department of Health.
Kung ganun po ang proseso na meron pa ho silang quarantine, yung mga crew, medyo mahihirapan ho sila na mag-mount ng flights dito kahit na meron po ng temporary ban. ng temporary lifting ng mga pasahero papunta ng Hong Kong na pabalik po.
He said the airlines are slowly starting to recover after the temporary travel ban was partially lifted. Full recovery, he said, will depend on the government's ability to address COVID-19. Monreal said what they want is definitely back to normal operations. Meanwhile, he said Transport Secretary Art Tugade directed airlines to mount more flights to domestic destinations to boost tourism numbers following the expected slowdown of international arrivals. President Rodrigo Duterte is expected to visit top local destinations to promote domestic tourism amid the COVID-19 threat, the Department of Tourism earlier said. In 2019, Monreal said Terminals 1 to 4 of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport were able to accommodate around 47 million passengers. To prevent the possible infection, he encouraged the public who have passengers to meet or send off at the Manila Airport terminals to refrain from coming in groups, heeding the advice of health experts to avoid crowded places. Airport authorities ordered tighter screening measures to all international airports it manages. NAIA has 2 new thermal scanners, each at Terminals 1, 2, and 3, to better detect passengers with high-grade fever. Airlines vow to impose safeguard measures to allay fears of future passengers, such as aircraft disinfection, cabin air filtering, and face mask policy requirements for the flight's frontline crew. Shipments from China registered marked decline in the first 15 days of February 2020 on account of the lower production and deliveries amid the coronavirus disease 2019. Data released by Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III to journalists on Wednesday showed that the number of 20-foot equivalent unit containers from China fell by 62.15% in the first half of this month to 11.05 compared to 29.195 during the same period of last year. Dominguez earlier said they were concerned on the imports data from China, but cited they believe that the slack will be taken up by other markets. He said this development will impact on Bureau of Customs revenues. Dominguez further said retail sales are also down since people now limit their time outside their homes, and this will affect revenues of the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Dominguez, however, assured the public that the government has fiscal and monetary measures in place to address any impact of the virus on the domestic economy. ASEAN and the United States reiterated commitment to strengthen their strategic partnership for mutual benefit at the 11th meeting of the ASEAN-U.S. Joint Cooperation Committee held at the ASEAN Secretariat. At the meeting, ASEAN and U.S. officials noted that the long-standing partnership has expanded to cover a wide spectrum of areas under the 3 ASEAN community pillars. Taking stocks of ASEAN-U.S. cooperation, officials from both sides noted that the ASEAN-U.S. Plan of Action 2016 to 2020 has fully implemented its final year. The 2 sides look forward to the finalization of the new Plan of Action 2021 to 2025, which will continue to support ASEAN's efforts in the promotion of peace, security, and prosperity in the region. In discussing priority areas of cooperation, ASEAN and the U.S. agreed to further deepen collaboration in the areas of maritime security, transnational crime, including trafficking in persons, drugs and wildlife, cybersecurity, women in peace and security, trade and investment, digital economy, energy, connectivity, disaster management and humanitarian assistance, human capital development, youth engagement, and educational exchanges. In underscoring the commitment of ASEAN and the U.S. to strengthen their strategic partnership, officials from both sides looked forward to the convening of the ASEAN-U.S. Special Summit on the 14th of March 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada, to chart the future direction of the relations.
millions of species. A home worth saving. Global Ideas tells stories of creative people and innovative projects around the world. Ideas that protect the climate, boost green energy solutions, and reforestation. Using interactive content to inspire people to take action. Global Ideas, the environment series of Global 3000.
Landmarks, Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
Welcome back. A white rhino calf runs and rolls in the mud while a pair of red-shanked Duke Langer babies enjoy their newfound pastime of swinging between trees. Over 660 babies were born and hatched at the Wildlife Reserve Singapore last year. And that is latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Monica Velasco and I am 1 with 25.